All right, we're back. Tracy, this last question is very important, especially to me, because I'd like to get your expertise on this one. We know that Six Sigma uh, transforms processes, right? We all know that, we have proven that, etc. But how can Six Sigma, or is there a story that you can recall wherein Six Sigma not only transform processes, but also the organizational culture?
Yes, I can, Raleigh. Thank you. You know, I remember originally learning about Six Sigma as a management philosophy,
Mm-hmm.
not just a project management discipline. And there were three main avenues of approach, and one was the Six Sigma project, like we talked about a little bit. Another was design for Six Sigma, how you're if you're
Mm-hmm.
developing a new process, business process, or even a new product or a new service, how do you get it right on the first try? Innovation.
Right.
And then the underlying layer was process management, ongoing business process management. And there was a time when I was able to apply some of that, in the context of a project, but it also continued to help change the culture.
Mm.
And there was a company that I was supporting, and they sent products from multiple factories in United States and Mexico and United Kingdom to Japan. And the Japanese market, it's very strict, very as you've seen, firsthand, uh, polite and strict. Like we want
Mhm.
things done a certain way, we're going to be friendly about it, right? And so there was a lot of trouble. I'll try to keep this story short, but there was a lot of trouble with products not being compliant, right? There were
Right.
problems with the products, there were problems with the labels, there were problems with the packaging, and it was very tense. It was a very difficult relationship because the time zone, for one thing, the Japanese distribution center managers were sending emails in the middle of the night to back to UK and US and Mexico. And so in the morning, when these factories, when the managers would arrive at those plants, they would see these emails waiting for them from Japan saying product not compliant,
Mm.
product package smudged, right? Plus with the language barrier, that just made it even
Mhm.
more difficult. So the global, senior vice president said to me, "See what you can do about making this better." So I went to Japan. I saw the problems firsthand. I photographed them and sent them. I took little videos even. I sent them to the plant managers in their time zone, the UK and US and Mexico time zone, and said, "This is what I'm seeing." And it helped to make it a little bit more understandable, but you shouldn't have to send in a project manager or specialist all the time. There needs to be a relationship. And so my message is we fixed this. And my message is that when a relationship is struggling, it needs structure to get back on track. And so I helped by putting in a good structure, and we worked on process improvements, and not all of the improvements were really that sophisticated. Some of them were quite simple. But what we needed to do was track them numerically and say, this is the improvement that we're making, the improvement that we're seeing. The Japanese distribution center had hired 30 temporary employees to
Mm.
inspect the incoming
Mhm.
product. They had been sending back lots of products, so it was expensive, right? The payment of these temporary laborers, the reverse logistics, and the cost of all that inspection, it was expensive, and plus, the opportunity cost when products were shipped back. So I put in place statistical process control charts to say, here's the defect rate now. We'd like to see that drop. Here's the success rate. We'd like to see that rise. And then we worked each one like its own project. But I didn't have to become the permanent fixture. What I did was organize liaison officers
Mm.
between the Japanese distribution center and each of the plants. I put a regular communication schedule in place for them, a regular cadence of reporting, even a template, right? Because if English is not your first language, I put a template in
Right.
for this bit and then this and this on this regular basis. And it really helped. It was not well organized. Everything was ad hoc. Everything was situational. And so by putting in this formulaic approach, which is very consistent with Six Sigma, is who are the subject matter experts? Who are the process owners that whose input we need and who are the providers, the suppliers. If you built your SIPOC again, right, the sources were internal. There were the factories that were owned by the same company. So by putting this structure in place, we managed to pull 3 product families off inspection, off the 100% inspection within less than 3 months, and continued
Mm.
success from there. Really, what I want to mention about structure, yes, it helps to improve a relationship, get the relationship back on track. Structure also, if I can go back a second to that design for Six Sigma angle about developing something and getting it right on the first try, structure promotes creativity. It's commonly thought to be the reverse, that structure stifles creativity. You quality managers are in our way. You're just concerned about compliance and rules. But structure actually has the opposite effect. It promotes creativity. Why?
Mm.
Because if we understand what our limitations are, then it's like I don't know, like the story of Apollo 13. We know we have these bits of materials to work with. How are we
Right.
going to get astronauts back? And so you have to get creative within the confines of what is known. So there are a lot of really good innovation games. A good one is the Crazy Eights game, right? You get 1 minute you get 8 minutes, 1 minute per idea to generate 8 ideas, and you have to do it rapidly. And it puts you under a little bit of stress. And a little bit of stress, stress, not distress, right, can really um, bring out the creativity in people. And I would love to talk more about that, Raleigh, when we can, sometime in the future, about innovation and idea generation. But I'm hoping that my question about, or my response to your question about improving a process has resonated.
Yeah, it's actually it's my first time to hear this, Tracy, and I learned something from this. That structure normally is like putting someone in a box, but like you mentioned, it 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 defines our limitation, so we have to be resourceful. And that Apollo 13, did you say Apollo 13? Is that it?
Yes.
Example
Yep.
is that, like they say, their computer system is our mobile phones probably would be much have bigger uh,
That's right.
bigger capabilities than what they used back then, right? It's really
I know it's
fascinating.
Moore's law. We have a stronger, yeah.
Yeah, fascinating. Like you mentioned, the FSS, and I think that's what some of the Six Sigma practitioners nowadays are missing, doing things right the first time, designing it, as they say, design for Six Sigma. So Tracy, just for this last part, I know we've known each other for a very long time. What advice, very brief one, can you give new leaders how they can take advantage Six Sigma in this world of AI, etc. So, what advice can you give them, Tracy? Because we have a lot of viewers who are in that age bracket.
Mhm. Yeah, it is. And you mentioned AI, and that's great. It's not going to take over the world. I don't think anybody has to be afraid. It's gonna help us do some of the simpler and even more complex calculations, computations, and some of the generative agents really can help to make decisions for us based on patterns and based on logic, and they can learn, and it's really powerful. But it comes back to our second session that you and I had in this, and it's about asking the right questions up and down the chain, right? Ask the right questions of your own managers, ask the right questions of the people who are on your team, ask the right questions of yourself. Certainly ask the right questions, prompts to call them in the generative AI. But it's about asking the right questions, figuring out what are the right questions. They often come back to what do I not know? What do I not know, and what do I need to know in order to be able to make this decision? It's possible to ask too many questions and protract the analysis time frame. It's also certainly possible to ask insufficient questions. So you have to find the right balance.
Exactly. With that, Tracy, I'd like to thank you so much for the opportunity to be with you, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon. Thank you so much, Tracy.
It's a
Have
pleasure.
a
See you
great
soon,
day.
Rob.
Thank you.